She always loved the quiet life, the soft rustle of wheat in the wind, the smell of fresh soil after rain, the gentle lowing of cows in the distance. These were the things that made her heart feel at home. City life, with its blaring horns and endless crowds, had never called to her. So, when she moved to a small village to take a break from her demanding career, she had no idea that she was stepping into a story far more extraordinary than any city skyline could offer. It was on a warm spring morning that she first saw him. He was in the fields, bent over, tending to his crops, with a patience she hadn't seen in anyone before. The sun caught his hair just right, and the faint smile that touched his lips seemed to radiate an ease and contentment that was almost contagious. Something in her chest stirred, a gentle tug that whispered, "Notice him." Days turned into weeks, and every morning, she found herself walking past his farm, just to catch a glimpse of him. Sometimes, he would look up, wipe the sweat from his brow, and nod politely. Other times, she would see him laughing with his workers, his deep, genuine laughter echoing across the fields. There was a kindness in him that seemed almost unreal, a simplicity and honesty that made her heart ache in the best way. Her curiosity finally overcame her shyness. "Hi," she said one afternoon, as she carried a basket of fresh eggs she had collected from her own small coop. "I'm new here. I thought I'd introduce myself." He looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes, before he smiled warmly. "I'm Daniel," he said. "Welcome to our little corner of the world. Don't worry, we're not as wild as the city. They mostly just stare at you." And just like that, a friendship began. They talked about everything. The challenges of farming, favorite books, childhood memories, dreams they'd never shared with anyone else. Daniel listened with a focus that made her feel seen in a way few people ever had. He never spoke about wealth or status, never hinted at a life beyond the dirt and crops, and somehow, that made him even more magnetic. Months passed, and what started as friendship blossomed quietly into something tender and unspoken. Every time he held the barn door for her, every time he taught her how to milk a cow or plant seeds in the fertile soil, her heart thudded with a mixture of awe and longing. She loved him not for who he was pretending to be, but for who he appeared to be, simple, kind, and impossibly grounded. Then came the harvest festival. The village was alive with music, lights, and the smell of baked bread. Daniel invited her to join him, and she agreed, excited yet nervous. That night, as they danced under a sky painted with stars, she felt a connection deeper than she had ever known. When he took her hand and looked into her eyes, it was as if he was seeing every secret part of her soul, and she knew, without a doubt, that she was falling in love. But Daniel had a secret, a life hidden behind carefully constructed walls. He wasn't just a humble farmer. He was a billionaire, born into a world of luxury, power, and influence, a world he had walked away from, choosing instead a life of simplicity. He wanted someone who loved him for who he was, not the fortune he carried silently in the background. So, he pretended to be ordinary, letting her see only the man who tilled the land and laughed under the sun. The revelation came unexpectedly. One crisp morning, she followed him to the barn to help with the animals, only to see him talking on the phone, in a manner entirely unlike the Daniel she knew. The words were cold, precise, commanding. When she tried to sneak closer, she saw a folder filled with legal documents, investment portfolios, and pictures of sprawling mansions. Her heart stopped. "Daniel," she whispered, the weight of confusion and betrayal pressing down on her. He turned slowly, a gentle, almost guilty smile on his face. "I was going to tell you," he said softly. "I just wanted you to know me first. Not my money, not my name, just me." Her emotions were a storm. Anger, confusion, hurt, disbelief. But beneath it all was a thread of understanding. She had fallen for him not because of wealth or status, but because of the man he truly was, the man who had patiently taught her to plant seeds, who had laughed with her under the sun, who had listened to her heart without judgment. "I don't care about the money," she said finally, tears brimming in her eyes. "I care about you, the real you." He stepped closer, taking her hands in his, and she felt the weight of the world lift in that moment. "I love you," he whispered, "and that's all that matters." From that day on, nothing was hidden between them. She embraced his world with him, not the glamorous, flashy life of headlines and boardrooms, but the quiet moments, the stolen mornings, the shared dreams of a simple yet extraordinary life together. Daniel taught her the joy of balance, how love could coexist with ambition, how wealth could exist without arrogance, and how true connection transcends all material things. Years later, when people asked how they met, she would smile, thinking of the fields, the harvests, and the gentle farmer who wasn't just a farmer at all. I fell in love with a man who loved the earth, she would say, and it turns out, he had the whole world in his hands, but he chose to give me his heart instead. And in that choice, she found a love more powerful than she could have ever imagined, proving that sometimes, the richest souls are hidden in the simplest places.